I'd like to address them briefly. There are many people here tonight to talk about the tax proposal, so I'd leave it in their hands. They've done a good job, and I know they will. But there are some things that I think are falling by the wayside while we're being distracted by such draconian proposals and alarming situations, that there are some other things that have gone by that I think we need to pay some attention to, and vital that we pay attention to. First of all, in the last council meeting, Mr. Zerlag said several times to you, council, he said that regardless of what you do and regardless of what the residents do, he plans on eliminating, privatizing, or regionalizing almost all of our city departments.
Mrs. Bernardi, I hate to interrupt you, but that is an item that is on the agenda. It is in the study item. So if you have an item that is not pertaining to that, we'll be glad to hear it at this point. Otherwise, we need to hear it at that point.
Okay. Yes, there are 2 out of 4 items here that are not, that wouldn't fall under that, I believe. Mr. Zerlag also stated that he would not recommend using money from our capital fund to help balance the budget. And what this tells me is that all the sacrificing is going to fall in the laps of the residents and the employees, while the spending of the city will continue relatively unfettered. And I think that you don't grow government, you don't, when these kinds of horrific scenarios are placed before us, yes, that capital fund should be looked at. We should not be looking at all these different silos of money and say,
I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but you're still talking about an item that is an agenda item. I'm sorry to keep interrupting you.
Well, you know.
But there will be a time for you to say all of that to us.
I don't really think that, I'm afraid that when I come up then, you'll say that's not on the agenda. Okay. All right, then I'll skip over that. And then the other one was all the wasteful spending done by the DDA over all the years has led to a situation now where it's not thought that the DDA will be able to pay its own debts. And this, again, will be falling in the laps of the residents. And I had one more item, if you don't want me to. Councilman Beltramini asked a question in the last council meeting, and I think it's vital that we get an answer to that. And that is, why is Mr. Zerlag insisting that we make up a supposed shortfall of over 5 years in 2 years?
I'm sorry. Again.
Okay.
But all of that, and you can bring that forward, but at the proper time. I'm sorry, that is part of our rule.
Well, I do have a little bit of a problem lately figuring out where you want me to speak, because that happened at another council meeting, and I am trying to put it in the right spot.
Okay. And I'm glad you have your notes so that when I call on you again, I know you'll be able to give it to us. Thank you. That concludes people that signed up on items that are not on the agenda, but this is not on the agenda, Mrs. Harrell. Yes, come forward, Barbara Harrell.
I'm Barbara Harrell, and I'm here tonight as the president of the Troy Clausen Republican Forum, the oldest and most active Republican club in the city, by the way. And I want to give a big shout out, at a girl, at a boy, everybody, to Troy Days Committee. I wrote them a letter, but I just wanted to say and get it on the record and for the folks at home to see, they answered the few questions that I had professionally, effectively, efficiently. We had no problems, and I just think they did a good job. When you do things like that on a volunteer basis, nobody sees behind the scenes all the work that goes into it, especially when it runs smoothly. It's supposed to. So I just wanted to say that they did a wonderful job, and we had no problems except for almost a small altercation with a certain councilwoman over a back support that my husband and I had an eye on, and she wanted the last one, which will remain unnamed. But anyhow, it was a great time, and you did. You left me one, she said. And they did a great job for the city, and they did Troy proud. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Mrs. Harrell, they do work a total year. on Troy Days.
They said they're already
All
planning.
volunteers, yes.
I
And
know
so
they
we
are, so-
appreciate your good comments.
Oh, they
Thank
did
you.
a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we've concluded those that wish to speak on items that are not on the agenda, and so then we go to the consent agenda. Does council have any parts of the consent agenda that they wish to have exempted? Seeing none, could we have a resolution?
Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman Beltrame?
I move that all items be approved as presented on the consent agenda.
Support.
Moved by Councilwoman Beltrame, seconded by Councilman Fleming, that we approve all of the consent agenda items with this vote. Discussion? The vote, Mrs. Bartholomew?
Councilmember Fleming,
Yes.
Kerwin,
Yes.
Mayor Schilling,
Yes?
Councilmember Beltramini,
Yes.
Broomfield,
Yes.
Eisenbacher,
Yes.
Motion passes. I'm going to request a 5-minute break before we go to the next item, because once we get into it, there won't be an opportunity for a little while to take a break. Some of us have been here since 6 o'clock doing the Garden Awards before the others, so 5 minutes, and then we'll return to the items.